Here we go with some more 1959 Les Paul mythology. More 1959 Les Paul bullshit. Okay. I mean, this stuff I hear about these guitars is just ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And I made a video about it, and somebody's like, "Well, who you're saying they and them? Who exactly are you talking about? Who's saying that?" Well, right here. Let's see here. Emerald City Guitars says when they deliver a 1959 Les Paul, they say, "Congratulations on acquiring one of the greatest instruments on the planet." So now the 1959 Les Paul has now all of a sudden gone from being one of the greatest guitars on the planet to one of the greatest instruments on the planet. So, a Steinway piano, that's, yeah, that sounds good, but it's 59 Les Paul, boy, yeah. Now, oddly enough, if you look at the mythology, the lore, the bullshit of the 1959 Les Paul, it is on par with the Stradivarius in terms of its hype and mythology and pricing and things like that. It is that's the only probably the only thing you can compare it to. This idea that nobody can make a guitar better than a Stradivarius. Nobody can. No, I mean a violin. Nobody can make a violin that good except that one dude in 1700. That's it. Nobody can do it that good. Nobody. We don't know why, but it's the same thing with this 59 Les Paul. Nothing's as good. Look, it's one of the greatest instruments on the planet. And when you look at it, by the way, listen to this video. This guitar sounds like garbage. I mean, no offense to the guy, but it does not sound that good. And I'm gonna make some videos of me playing a guitar, a Les Paul I have that I think sounds as good or better than a 1959. And I'm gonna compare it directly to some of the, I'm gonna get use the amp through a modeler, and I'm gonna get you a sound that sounds so close to this. It's stunning. It's actually, I think it sounds better, but my guitar sounds better. But look, dude, you're talking about a guitar, right? It's only got a body, a neck, pickups, tuning pegs, a bridge, a tailpiece, and knobs. Like that's it. So we try to nail down what part of it sounds so good, what part of it's so legendary. You've only got 7 parts, you know, um, maybe 10. And one of the mythology of the Les Paul is the volume pot. The pots in this thing are so much different. They're so much better. They're so much better than anything you could buy in the modern day. They were made by what is the company called? There's a company that Central Lab pots. Central Lab pots. That's what they're made by Central Lab, and they're 500Ks, right? So when you're trying to get the exact, you're trying to copy the greatest sound that ever existed in a Les Paul or in a guitar, you have to have a Central Lab pot in there at 500K. You have to have it, or you don't have the sound. You don't have the greatest sound in the world. You don't have the best sounding Les Paul in the world. You don't have the best sounding guitar in the world. Now, what's interesting is this guy who seems to be telling the truth. I don't know if he is or not, but he's tested over 100 old pots, maybe 150. And he says a vast majority of them were over 500K in resistance. So they were over 500K because as you turn the knob, it wears it down. Here's a picture of that. See, this is what happens is, let's say this is 0, this is 10. Either way, this is 0, this is 10. Doesn't matter. This is all the way up, this is all the way down, whichever way it goes. So you start here, let's say it's all the way down, and there's a wiper that goes across here, and then it goes all the way up. That's what you're talking about. So there are people believing somehow that this operation on a volume knob, right? That this volume knob right here is magical. Cannot be reproduced. It's the greatest sounding pot in the world. If you get a modern day guitar, no, it won't sound anything like an old 59 because the pots and everything, including Joe Bonamassa, who I've heard say on a video, "Oh, the magic is in this pot, though. This is the magic. Listen to this." And got nothing to say about his guitar playing, nothing to say about his choice of gear. He's also perpetuating this myth. It's wait till this is where the magic happens. The magic happens in a volume knob. The magic happens right here, and on a carbon strip that's probably worn down and is probably not functioning as originally intended. That's the magic. And by the way, there's a company called VIP Pots who has gone out of their way to produce the most accurate reproduction of a Central Lab pot in the world. They went through and they said they're not claiming it changes the tone. They're claiming that the audio taper on a Central Lab pot when you go from here to here was much smoother. It didn't jump as much. And that's something that Joe Bonamassa is saying, which may be true. That may be true, but that doesn't make it magical. To say that you can't possibly get that magic out of a modern day volume knob, that you can't reproduce a volume knob, a very simple device that's been made now for 50, 60, 70 years, 90 years, that you can't make one as good as they made in 1958 is ridiculous. I mean, think about it. It's what I'm saying. It borders on madness to believe that you can't make a volume knob, something that turns something up and down, as good as you could in 1958 or 1959 or 1960 is literally insane. And what these people have done is they've gone through and they found a manufacturer. They analyzed the old Central Lab volume pots and they made an exact replica. So here's a chart of the exact replica. And look, here's the Central Lab is in red and theirs is in purple. So look how close it is. So to think that you can't ever get the sound, of a 1959, in a volume pot is just not true. It's just not true. They've done it, and they're only $12.99 a piece. By the way, they're only $12.99 a piece. So, if you're that into it, which I would get one. Sure, why not? If you're claiming that this taper is so important and Gibson can't do it in my stock Gibson, they can't do it. Gibson can't possibly use a volume pot in the modern day that comes close to a 1958 or 59 or 60. They can't do it. They can't even come close. It's not even close. No, this is a game changer, man. This is the magic. This is where it happens. Right here. And Gibson can't come close, never has been able to since 59. What was 59, 69, 79, 89, 99, 2009, 2019? In 65 years, they haven't produced one volume pot that even comes close to the magic of this one. if you really want to believe that, well, you could come real close with theirs with this VIP pot. You could come real close with this one because they got a chart right here that shows you, look, ours is from all our analyzations, which took them like over a year or two to make it with this company. So to me, it looks like, they've come pretty close. So, to say once again, okay, 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 this is what I guess that these people are saying is your guitar, your 19, your guitar, any guitar you have, a Gibson guitar, because what happens is you turn this wiper over this carbon, and every time you do it, it wears out. And so as this guy testifies, almost all of them read more than 500K. All the vintage ones read over 500K because as you wear this thing down, the resistance becomes less and less. So more signals going through it. So you're getting 600K, you're getting 630K. The pot's not functioning correctly. So now it sounds better. So it sounds better. So as I said in my last video about the die on these guitars was not good. It didn't work right. It faded. It wasn't meant to fade. It wasn't put on the guitar to fade out in a year. It wasn't put on the guitar to fade out the minute it hit some light. It wasn't put on the guitar to fade out in 5 years. It was put on the guitar to stay on there for the life of the guitar, which it didn't do because it was inferior die. So I guess to make the best guitar in the world, you got to have inferior die, and your volume pot should not be functioning correctly. Mm-mm. Your volume pot should be letting way more than what the tolerance that the manufacturer wanted it to be at. It has to be functioning way higher than that. It has to be worn down and almost to the point of not functioning to make your guitar sound really good. So your guitar, to be the best guitar in the world, to be the greatest instrument on the planet, it has to have inferior die in it. It has to have a potentiometer, a volume control that's not working correctly. And it has to have pickups, which I'll go into in another video, that have been worn down over the years. The magnet is not as strong as it was. So that makes it better. So what makes the greatest guitar in the world? Die is inferior. Volume control doesn't work correctly. Pickups are not functioning correctly, functioning much lower at a much lower level than the manufacturer wanted them to. And these will help, I guess, get you, the greatest guitar on the planet. But yeah, I mean, the hype is just, it's out of control, man. I mean, the hype around a 1959 Gibson and 58 Gibson and the lies that are being told about this guitar. No, absolutely. I just, I can't take it.